my name is Jasmine Jones. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little series I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. Today we are sipping on vodka and fruit punch. And we are reviewing Love Jones, a 1990s classic from 1997. I was 10 years old. So I didn't really understand the various different concepts of this movie at that age, of course. It was a love story. They stayed together at the end. That was all I was happy about. Like, yay, they loved each other and they look like me, so yay. So, rewatching this movie as an adult, it was just kind of like, now you have to pay attention to all the stuff in the middle from when they first meet to when they decide to stay together in the end. And you have to realize that all of this stuff didn't have to happen. It really didn't. I just feel in my spirit and in my soul, my heart, my body, all the places that it did not have to happen like this. So anyways, this movie is about Nina.
I am not trying to meet another man at this time.
Played by Nia Long, and Darius.
Hey.
Persistence.
Played by Lorenz Tate. Lorenz Tate is a very, 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 very nice looking man and does not age at all. His cheekbones just get higher, basically. That's it. He's so short. I'm 5'9", don't come for me. I want to feel like a lady. I can't do it, nope. But they look damn good in this movie. Yes, they did. They did a good job with this movie. It was like watching... So this is how Soul should have been. Basically, it was like watching a rom-com with black people intermingled with black culture in the black background. So it was a different flavor to the rom-com. But it was still a rom-com. Very soulful, blackety black rom-com. Without being like obvious or extra about the cultural aspects. We have them in, jazz bars, doing poetry slams, listening to the Isley Brothers, and, going to a stepping party. I have not been to a stepping anything since it's this dance. Something with the 1-2 step and you add extra moves to it that older folks did. And I have not seen a stepping event, an event curated around stepping since I was a kid. And it happened one time at my cousin's wedding. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? No, it was at my grandmother's birthday too. They did a little stepping thing. And then at my cousin's wedding, they did that. And I was just like, oh, wow, look at this. I could do these dance moves. These are doable. So, Nia is a photographer. She's struggling. She went from being an assistant to just having her own studio and doing like portraits for people. And Darius is a poet. I don't think he was quitting his job so he could write his book of poetry. And that's where they are when they meet each other. And so they meet each other at the poetry club. He reads this. I would have talked to that. I would have let that nigga do anything. That poem he read. He said, something about her thighs. I'll post something to show the thing he said, which was beautiful. But yes.
Who am I? It's not important. But they call me brother to the night. And right now, I'm the blues in your left thigh. Trying to become the funk in your right.
Something about being the funk in her right thigh and the light in her left thigh. Something about thighs, and it was beautiful. And he said he wanted her, and it was lovely. And he read that poem, and it was embarrassing, of course. It was like in a mixture of embarrassing and lovely. He meets her at the bar, doesn't know what to say to her when he first meets her. And then he goes up on the stage and just randomly does this poem. And then they meet up again haphazardly at the record store the next day. She doesn't give him her number that night or anything like that. She just is like, oh, she's coming off of a breakup. So she's on a rebound. She's trying to find herself. She's coming off of a breakup from her fiance. She's moved out of his house. She's at her own place. She's house sitting. So she's gonna be single and live her life and whatever. She's not trying to date right now. So she's not trying to give people her number or whatever. So they meet at the record store haphazardly on accident. One of Darius's friends runs the record store and he plays her a song that he likes.
It's kind of sad. Melancholy maybe, but not sad. There's a difference, I think.
And then he tries to ask her out. She says, no, this isn't the right time right now, which is fair. You know, she's trying to, regrow herself, heal from her fiance. And she probably still has lingering emotions and feelings about her fiance. And so she writes a check. I have not seen somebody pay for an item with a check in so long, unless you're getting your hair done or you're paying a bill. And then she leaves. And then, of course, he, very creepily, this is creepy, but in the context of the movie, it's fine. I don't care. I don't care. The only thing that was toxic in this movie was this part and the parts where they just don't communicate. It's just a lack of communication throughout this whole movie, but let's get there. So he gets her address and her phone number off the check and just shows up at her house.
Hey.
Persistence.
Be surprised how far I can get you.
Invites himself in, or stares at her with a puppy dog face, and then she's like, do you want to come in? And he's like, I mean, if, and she lets him in. And she's just telling him like she's not really trying to date nobody right now because it's not the right time for her. I don't think she tells him that she just broke up with somebody. He smoozes her, and it's basically like, if you tell me no now, I'm just going to keep asking until you tell me yes. And, if he wasn't attractive and smooth and not creepy, because he doesn't give off that creepy vibe, she was attracted to him, okay? I feel like this is weird for men, because there needs to be certain conditions for shit like this to be okay. And those certain conditions tend to rely on the woman completely and on if she likes you. Then maybe she will tolerate you doing shit like finding out where she lives and coming to her house and trying to, take her out on a date. Maybe. Because sometimes this shit works. Don't be out here acting like shit like this don't work when you're attracted to the motherfucker, okay? It's creepy, but sometimes it works when you're attracted. But you never know when the woman's so just go the normal route. If she say no, let it go. That's her loss. See how that works? That's her loss. And then you don't have to do the creepy, crazy people shit to try and see if you can make her date you. See? Because no matter how it's done or if the woman does accept it, it's still creepy, it's still invasive, it's still crossing boundaries. It's just, if somebody like you, they might not mind the boundaries being crossed depending on how smooth you are with it. There's always outliers, sweetie. I'm not saying do this though, because most of the time you probably gonna get pepper sprayed or stabbed. I don't care how fine you is. Don't do that to me. Don't show up at my house. I don't care who you are. I'm just gonna automatically think you are Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, and I'm gonna hit you with something and try to get you away from me. But some women this works. Some women, I think it's society. Society tells women that the knight in shining armor is supposed to be super invasive of your privacy. And then some women are just like, if they're attracted to the dude, they're like, oh, he just found my address and showed up at my house and said that he was just going to keep asking me out on dates until I say yes. And now we're married and we have 5 kids and we live in a 3-story house and everything is perfect and fine and wonderful. Outliers. Anyways, So they go hang out with him and his friends, and they're getting to know each other and they're liking each other, but they describe their little, affiliation with each other as just kicking it.
But look, don't even get all geeked up, because this is nothing serious. This is no love thing. Me and Darius, we are just kicking it.
This ain't no love thing. Just kicking it.
So they're not together. Both of them are describing this to their friends as we're just kicking it. But their friends are just like, my nigga, you like this nigga. And then his friends like, nigga, you like this bitch. He's like, and he's like, no. But then he's asking his married friend about how he knew such and such was the one, how he knew his wife was the one, while his married friend is separated from his wife and is currently seeing but not seeing his coworker. Okay, go off, sis. So his married friend is jealous or is jaded because him and his wife just got in an argument, and she took the kid with her and left. And so now he's just like, well, marriage is what you make of it, and everyone wants us to stick together, and blah. So he's jaded. So I don't know why he went to his friend that obviously he's not in the right space to be talking to you about the one. And then her ex hits her up. This is when you don't listen to your friends. I know we want to listen to our homegirls, but this is where things got fucked up. Okay, for both of them. But I think it was mainly because they were both confused too. They didn't know what they wanted out of the situation, because at one point she was in his house, and while she was there, he like backed up against his little desk where he writes, and he flipped his picture down. And I think he might have been on the rebound too. Like, he was still in love, because he kept talking about this woman named Felicia throughout the whole series, and how she was like his first love or whatever. So I think he still like got like a little fire for her, and so he flips her picture down and is like, so yeah. So this is where we don't listen to our friends. Marvin shows up at Nina's doorstep and is like, take me back, bitch. And she's just like, why should I take you back? You did this, that, and the other. Why should I take you back? We don't need to be together. I think he cheated or some stupid shit. I don't know. They didn't go too deep in what Marvin did. They just broke up. I think he broke up with her. He left her. And so she was just like, why? And he was all like, you can at least think about it. You owe me that much. And she's like, I don't owe you nothing, nigga. What are you talking about? So of course he leaves, and because he knows he got her, because he got that whole look on his face like, I got her. And he leaves. And then she's just like, with her friend, I mean, I got to know if I still love him. No, you don't. I mean, like, but why do you need... I don't know. Did she have to go back to New York with him just to figure out if she loved him still? I would just look at the patterns of his behavior over the relationship that led up to the breakup, and then I would ask myself, do I want to deal with that for the next 50 years? I would do that. See, that's the first shit that fucked up here. Like, if he acted a certain way over all this time and then left you, because he was acting that certain way when they got back together and she went to New York, because she ended up going back to New York. So he had to been acting this way for a while. So, I feel like you can just look at the patterns and ask yourself, like, do you want to deal with that for 50 years? I don't feel like you should have went all the way back to New York with him. But she, and her friend's like, well, tell Darius. Because she wanted to tell Darius. She wanted to be honest with him. But her friend's like, tell Darius. And if he doesn't act out and make a scene, or that means he doesn't care. And if he does act out and make a scene, that means you got him, girl. I'm just like, oh, no, that's not what we do here. So she tells Darius at his house, after they've had sex, that she's going to New York to see her dude. Darius looks like he's about to fucking cry in the face. You can just look at his face. You don't have to make a scene or nothing to tell this nigga is hurt. And she's looking at him. So she's like laying on the couch and he's sitting in a chair, and she's like glancing over at him. And I'm like, look, girl, look at his face. He's hurt. His feelings is hurt. But he just tries to play it cool while he looks like his eyes are tearing. And he's like, oh no, but we just kicking it. I ain't got no ring attached to you. You can do what you want to do. Go see dude and see what happens and da 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 da. And she's just like, so you're not mad? And he's like, no, why would I be mad? We're not married. We're not together like that. We're just kicking it, right? That's where Darius fucked up. He should have just been honest. But I have to have a caveat here because I feel like they both are just confused. They're both still emotionally attached to people. And they're forming something new here, but they haven't got past their emotional attachment to the other people. So Nina needs to go see if her emotional attachment to this nigga is gone. Darius is still attached to Felicia and doesn't want love and doesn't in commitment issues and all sorts. So he needs to figure his shit out. And so Nina goes to New York and Darius is like over here playing around. He finds some girl at the club, at the bar, after he's talking to his friend at the bar. He slipped up and told his friend that he felt like Nina could be the one, but his friend laughed at him, so he took it back and said it was a joke. But he was telling the truth. That's how he felt. And then he makes eyes with this other woman at the bar, and then all of a sudden they're together, they're fucking, they're walking around arm in arm and shit like that. And Nina is over here suffering and struggling, trying to, first and foremost, she has interviews for her photography with journalists, journaling companies. The alcohol's kicking in. Don't judge me. Don't come for me. Yes, journalism companies, news outlets. There you go. She has an interview with some news outlet, and this white dude is talking about, can't you be more, less raw with your photography? You would get more out there if you were less raw and more like snappy or snizzy or whatever the fuck he said. Some stupid word that means basically, can you be less black with your photography? Because she takes pictures of the hood in black and white and, very journalistically, very artistically and stuff like that. And he felt things in his soul that said, oh, can you not take pictures of the black people? Maybe then you would get hired by people. So she leaves and says, fuck you, nigga. And then she goes, and Marvin's got an attitude because she ate his cereal or some stupid shit, and he got an attitude, and he's like, well, I had a bad day, that's all it was. And she's like, well, I had a bad day too, nigga. That don't mean you gotta snap it, motherfuckers. Shit. She was like, she didn't say it like that, but you know what I mean.
Hey.
Hey. Where are my toasted oats?
Oh, I finished the box this morning.
Oh, you couldn't eat the damn Captain Crunch, could you?
Oh, please.
Look, I'm sorry. I had a bad day today.
Well, I had a bad day too.
And so Marvin's just like, what the fuck? And she's just like, I don't even know why I'm here. I don't even know why I came back. And he's like, you don't mean that. And then he walks out and leaves. He doesn't like to have a conversation, period. Nina's just like, okay. And then she said, bet. She left in the middle of the night, put his ring that he gave her because they were going to get married, put his ring on his finger and skedaddled. Apparently he was feeling like, oh, you're just going to give up all these years. And she was like, is this all it is about? Just these years? Them years ain't shit, nigga. And so then she goes back to Chicago. Taking pictures in her studio. I don't know why she did this. She's at a bookstore one day. She sees dude, because she hadn't talked to Darius yet when she got back to Chicago. So she sees him walking by the bookstore with some bitch. And she's upset, but y'all wasn't together. So, you still gonna be upset, but you can't do nothing about it, girl. And then she goes and starts dating his friend. Like, they went on a couple dates. I don't think they had sex. I don't know. Who knows? She never said it. They never showed it. Who knows? But she goes on a couple dates with him. And it's Bill Bellamy, 1990s player of the year, of the decade. That was his whole little facade. His moniker was the player of the decade. And he's this in this movie too. He just couldn't beat that part that they was giving him. And so this nigga invites her. First, he has this little verbal battle with Darius at the club, at the little poetry club.
So what you been up to, man?
You know, just putting in work, man.
Really?
Really. See, I got this new gig. Keeps me up. Working all through the night.
The late shift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know all about that kind of job. Used to work the hell out of it.
And it's like, I got a new job. And Darius was like, I had that job too before. And Bill Bellamy's like, well, I'm doing a good job at this job. And Darius is like, well, usually I quit my jobs. You just get fired. So they just having this little squabble, this little word battle and shit. And then Bill Bellamy gets up and leaves. And then this nigga gonna invite her to the party that they friend Sheila's having. And she don't know that she don't know where he's taking her. She don't know what's up. They get there and there's Darius looking at her like, what the fuck? There's Bill Bellamy like, what? Like, what? Why is this a big deal? And then she leaves. And so going back to, I don't fucking know why she decided to date his friend though. Like they made it seem like it was such a casual thing. Like her friend was outside. They were leaving the little poetry bar, and her friend like Bill Bellamy came out and said something to him, and I think he was trying to talk to her friend, but then her friend wasn't trying to talk to him, so he went back inside, and her friend was suggesting that she date him. Is she not have a good friend? Oh, I think her friend just tells her to do hood rat shit. That's what I think. I think her friend tells her to do hood rat shit. Like first she gonna tell her, oh, if he makes a scene, that means that he loves you. And then she gonna tell her to date his fucking friend. Like, I mean, for what though? Like, there's a code of honor there. Like you don't date. I just feel in my spirit, and she don't date a nigga's relatives. You don't date a nigga's friends. You don't. I mean, there's always outliers in these situations, but because it gets messy. People have emotions and feelings, and that type of shit gets messy. Even for that small sake, is that shit gets messy when you involve people that care about each other. And so if you involve people that care about each other with your genitals, and those people also care about you in some way, form, or fashion, even if it's just sexually or egotistically, it's gonna be messy at some point. It's gonna be a mess because people like to act all high. We're adults. We can. This is not some ethical polyamorous thing where we talk this shit through and we have a agreement. This is not some shit where I talked to you beforehand. I said I was gonna date your friend, and you were like, "Oh, that's cool. I don't care." This is like she showed up. This nigga had her show up at his friend's party knowing Darius was gonna be there, and Darius felt some type of way. And Nina felt some type of way. And this nigga sitting here thinking he the big boss with the big dick and shit. Like, no. And then you kind of know what type of person he is. Like, he just seems slimy and shit. Like some nigga. And, she just seemed better than that. Like, he funny, but okay. Lots of niggas is funny. That don't mean shit. That's just a piece of the package. Where's the rest of it? Where's the respect? Where's the kindness? Where's the, consistency, positive consistency? It's just not there, honey. It's not. And so, she just like leaves that shit. She's mad at Bill Bellamy's character. I think his name is Wood. Of course his name is Wood. Where's his name is? I think his name was Hollywood and they just call him Wood. Okay. Ew. Why are we shorten it to Wood? Why not make it Holly? Shut up. And so she storms out the party and she's like, take me home. And this nigga gonna say, no, fuck you, bitch. I'm like, so you're not gonna take her home either, Wood? Really, Wood? That's what we're doing? Go off, sis. You ain't shit. He go back in there and expect his friends to be like on his side and shit, and it's shocked and surprised that they're mad at him for leaving her outside, and so basically she decided she was gonna walk. I don't know where the fuck she was walking, I guess to the payphone to call a taxi. This is the 90s, so we had payphones and taxis, and then rich people could afford the big expensive, or unless you live in East Asia, they had flip phones by then. East Asians always got the shit, okay? Them motherfuckers had flip phones and shit in the 90s. Well, we had them big clunky, ugly mother. So they went to the payphone. Yes, honey. They went to the payphone. And, or not they, I'm saying they. Y'all like, who's they? So she's walking, and I guess she's going to walk by herself. And then Darius sees that she's not with Wood, and he runs out, and he walks with her. And they get to the payphone. And then right when the taxi pulls up, he's like, why didn't you contact me when you got back? Why did you date Wood? And she's just like, well, I saw you with that bitch. And he's like, what bitch? I don't know what you're talking about. And I literally thought that he was lying. But when she pulled off, he remembered and was like, oh shit, I was with Lisa at the bookstore that one time we passed by. Oh, go off, sis. And so then she ends up calling him. Ew. She ends up calling him. And is like 2 days later and like apologizes and shit for showing up at the party, saying she didn't know he was gonna be there and shit like that, and which is fair. I mean, he might have thought she knew or some shit and she was a part of it, but he knew that Wood was trash. Everybody knows Wood. I don't know why she did that. I'm confused why she listens to her fucking friend who tells her to do hood rat shit that's unnecessary, but whatever. Go off. So then we get to like the whole little movie montage of romance and love, and they're doing cutesy couple shit, like walking through the woods and walking in the rain and laughing and giggling and kissing and fucking and all sorts of dumb shit. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And then Lisa calls at 5 a.m. when they're in bed together. And Darius is picking up the phone like, Lisa, what you calling me so early for? Blah, 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 blah. And Nina is like laying there with her back turned to him. So she looking like she's asleep. But no, she opens one eye. And then we know she heard that shit. So now we see Nina deteriorate and getting mad. So she's getting mad. And instead of talking to him about it, she just starts being petty. And doing petty shit, like, I don't know. Oh, she starts an argument by asking him why he hasn't been curious about whether or not she slept with Wood. And he was just like, well, my mama told me if you don't want to know the answer to some shit, don't ask. And she's like, what do you mean you don't want to know the answer? So she's starting some fucking argument just because she's mad about Lisa. And then he finally just outs and said, are you mad about Lisa and you don't trust me? And she's like, no, I don't trust you. And he's like, why you don't trust me? And And she,
you don't trust me?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
she's like, well, she's calling you at 5 a.m. and she said phone calls, plural. So I think this has happened multiple times. And then he has her number on a post-it on his little tack board. If it's over, why haven't you shut down them 5 a.m. phone calls, sir? If it's over, why is her number still in this house with her name on it and everything? Why? And so he cops the attitude and he's like, well, you don't trust me. Why don't you come get your shit and buy? And I'm just like, nigga, she's making valid points here. She finally came out and said what's bothering her, the evidence she has for it, and why it's a problem. And you just went completely left and said, you can come get your shit and leave. Why is Lisa even in the area, the aura of Lisa around, sir, if you're not still talking to them? Why is she calling you at 5 o'clock in the morning? I'm just curious. I would like to know too. See, these are the things that communication and just taking responsibility for your actions should do. But we're not doing that, are we? No. We want to get petty and argue and have all these problems. Maybe it's because I'm an Aries. I just like to talk about this shit. And then if you're not going to talk to me about it, then I'm just going to leave. Because I said my piece. I said how I feel. I said the part that I play. I said what I wanted. And you was over there mumbling and bumbling and fooling around on some fuck shit. I gotta go. I don't have time. I was honest. I said the things and you were stupid. So I gotta go. You know, if you want to come chase after me, if you get it together in the next 5 minutes and you want to come chase after me, okay. But if I get in my car and I get the fuck up out of this bitch and I leave this neighborhood, you gonna leave me the fuck alone. I'm not picking up the phone. I'm just tired because you made me tired. I fought the good fight and now I'm tired, honey. Yes. And so she leaves, or he leaves, because they were in her house when they had the argument. Next thing, she's packing her shit, and she like has his key that he gave her, and she's like, well, that's everything. And she looks like she crying. And then he's like, and make sure you close the door when you leave. And he's on the couch reading a book, won't even make eye contact. You know, he's stupid. So she throws the keys at him and goes. And so then he's hanging out with his friends, and her friend, what's her name, Joy, calls him and says that Nina got a shot with Vibe, and now she gets to shoot for them, and she's leaving tomorrow at noon on the train. Midnight train to Georgia. Yes. I was thinking of like, what's the train that leaves at 12? Leaving on the midnight train to Georgia. It wasn't midnight, but you know what? It was noon, so whatever. And so he's like, I don't give a fuck. And so the next day, right on the hour, he leaves to try to catch her at the damn train station. Misses her just by a little bit. The train leaving, he running after it, trying to call her through the window. She didn't see him or hear him or nothing. And so next we go, it's a year later, and I'm thinking these motherfuckers, because I ain't seen the movie in a while. I don't remember them getting back together. I don't remember shit except for Nia Long and Lorenz Tate was in it. So I'm thinking like, oh, they're never gonna get together, or they have spouses now. This is one of those movies where they end with some bullshit like, oh, they went their separate ways. It's one of those love stories where they don't get together and you learn a lesson and realism and stupid. No, I want the romance. Give me the romance with the people that look like me. Okay? Is that it? I don't care. Anyway, a year later, Nina is shooting for Vibe magazine when she gets a shoot in Chicago. And so she goes back to Chicago and she goes to the poetry lounge and she reads a poem on stage and she hopes Lorenz Tate will be there. Darius, whatever. And she doesn't see him in the room, but he's sitting in the back, and she reads the poem about the hills and mountains and valleys and light and nature and shit, and how it makes her remember love or whatever the fuck. And it was a nice little poem. And then she leaves, and then she throws her book in a trash can on the way out because she just feels so defeated because he's not there to hear her poem. She even said on the stage, isn't it funny how you can say things in front of a crowd that you can't say in front of one person? And she reads her shit and leaves. And so she's outside, it's raining, her hair is wet, it's, and she's about to get into a taxi, and there's Darius. He's across the street with his motorcycle. He calls her. She goes over, and they make up, and they decide they love each other, and they want to be together, and they're going to try to make it work, even though she lives in New York. I don't know what that's like. I mean, I'm assuming it's the same distance on the train from Oakland to San Jose. Because that was a little bit of a train ride when I did that back in college. But it wasn't like super far where it would take your whole day to do it. It was like maybe 2 hour train ride. So I'm thinking it's about that distance. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You guys that on the East Coast can tell me I'm wrong and we can have a discussion about how I'm wrong about distance. I'm not good at math, so go off, sis. So they're gonna make it work out. And I feel like it came together like it was supposed to. This is a realistic love story. We don't know how to communicate. We break up with people. We haven't worked on ourselves. We don't know how to communicate how we feel. And so we don't end up right away with the people we want to end up with because we need to work on our fucking selves. So that whole year, they both worked on themselves. He finished his book. She got more established in her field. he worked on his emotions. I'm assuming they didn't go into that piece. They just got into how they were established in their career or whatever. And, she probably worked on herself too emotionally. I'm hoping, ideally they both would have probably went to therapy separately. That's what I want to believe in my spirit. That they both separately on their own, individually got a therapist and worked through whatever the fuck they needed to work through after whatever the fuck they've been through with these motherfuckers they've been dating. So I feel like it's a realistic movie about two people that were on the rebound and needed to work through their shit before they could actually be together. And then, realizing when that's happening in your life, like, you need to work on your shit and the other person that you like needs to work on their shit before anything could happen at all, before any relationship can happen with anybody, and recognizing that in yourself individually before you find that person that needs to work on their shit, or you need to work before you find that person. There you go. Working on that individually and recognizing that before you even think to like somebody. Basically just grow yourself so you can be ready for the right person. I think that's what this movie was about. And if you already know who the right person is and they know who you are, but y'all both still got some work to do it. Shit. So you can have a rounded, and that doesn't mean that they're never going to have problems or issues. It just means that now they can work through those problems and issues better than just deciding to break up every little fucking argument. Like, all that shit could have been a conversation. All that shit was a conversation about, why he dated Lisa when she was gone. Maybe because he missed her and he was tired of having to think about her. And so he just wanted something different to think about and he wasn't thinking clearly. And why she, went back with her ex, because she was still trying to see if she loved him and if there was anything there, and she didn't want to make the mistake because they were supposed to get married and all this other shit. And, I still don't understand why she dated Bill Bellamy, though. Why the fuck are you going out? And then you don't pick that friend. What about the nigga that runs the poetry? He probably wouldn't have dated her. He was mad at Bill Bellamy for doing that, too. Why did she do that, though? Just casually. And maybe get more friends than just that one friend. Because that's the only friend they showed her with. That's all I'm saying. Does she have more friends than that? Because I don't want to have my only friend be the friend that tries to hook me up with the friend of the nigga that I dated. Like, I mean, she was like pushing towards whatchamacallit on I May Destroy You. She was pushing towards Terry a little bit. She was being a little Terry-ish. That was the girl's friend on I May Destroy You. And I don't know about her friend, but this is just one movie, so who knows where that went. But anyways, yeah, I think that's what this movie's about. Take your time, be patient, grow in the ways you need to grow, and the right person will come for you. And you'll meet them. Magic things happen. And you'll be open, because the thing is, when you work on yourself, you're like open to the possibility that somebody can be positive or good or decent, because there's nothing wrong with these characters. They had just been through some shit, broke up recently with some people that they really cared about, and needed to work through that shit so that they can be better people, because they were like, that nigga was a scholar and a gentleman. Quoting all of these people that he read books on, and I'm drunk and I'm not going to say the names of these people that he read books on, but I'm smart and I read books, so don't come for me and make me feel like I'm stupid. Well, y'all can make me feel like I'm stupid, but I don't want to read the comments about, oh, she doesn't know people's names, she's not educated. No, I'm just not good with names. I remember faces, and I can remember your name if I've met you over and over again, but I am not good with names. So don't come for me. You better be glad I remember these characters' names in these movies. And the only reason I remember is because it's Nia Long and Lorenz Tate, and they're like legends and shit. Okay? So yeah. Be patient and wait and grow in yourself, because what I was saying before, you won't know when somebody's a good person. You won't recognize it because you're so used to bad shit. Especially cis men. If you like cis men, and you're used, statistically speaking, y'all niggas is got problems. No matter what ethnicity you are. Men in general have some issues because we socialize them not to feel emotions. I made a video about it. Go watch it. It's somewhere. I don't know how to put the link up there, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm figuring all this stuff out. They're socialized to not feel emotions, so they're more likely to be emotional because they're not letting out their emotions in healthy ways. And so, if you date cis men, there is an inherent fear sometimes from your experiences that you've had with them and so on and so forth, especially cis heterosexual men. And so, but there are good ones out there. And if you don't work on yourself, you're not going to believe the good ones when you see it. And then you're going to be like alone and shit. I mean, if you want to be alone, just as long as you're not lonely. Alone and lonely is different. Alone is like I'm chill with myself and my friends and my pets and my stuff, and my life is wonderful and great and fulfilled. Lonely is like I would like to have the people, the partners, the things around me because I'm lonely and shit. So there's a difference between being alone and lonely. And if you are lonely and you would like to be in a relationship with a heterosexual cis man, it can be scary. And it is hard to believe, if they're good people or not, and a lot of assaults happen by people, you've heard those stories. He was my best friend, and then we were hanging out one night and watching TV and smoking weed and drinking, and all of a sudden, I don't remember what happened. And we've been best friends for like 4 years. I don't know what happened. Shit like that happens. So, sometimes it's hard to know the red flag. Sometimes shit just happens because this person, you didn't know every little thing about them. You didn't know that they could be capable of some shit. So it's scary. But that doesn't mean it's everyone. It just means that there's a lot of scary niggas out there. And it's okay to observe the red flags, but don't look for them. Notice the green flags. Are they consistent? Do they communicate their feelings? Have they been to therapy before? That's a good sign. Do they have good relationships with their friends or their family or their chosen family? Are they pretty positive people? Do they have likes and dislikes? Do they have their own lives, basically? Are they stable in various different ways, financially, emotionally, mentally, all the things? If they're showing you these things on a regular basis, at some point you got to say, okay, I'm going to believe who you're showing me to be until you change things up. Because you never know what can happen with people. And maybe that's just my issues. I'm not there yet. So listen to me. I still find it hard to put trust and cis man in my brain at the same time. I haven't seen it. Not personally. I haven't experienced it. So don't come for me. I'm sure it's real because you can't say nothing and never. Like that means something is perfectly not there and it's not true. So I haven't seen it, but I'm sure it exists. And so I am open to the possibility that there are heterosexual cis men who are not horrible people. That sounds so bad. And I believe that if I work on myself, I will be able to notice those things or notice him when he comes along and grow something with that one day in God's name. Jesus wept. Praise him. Yes. Yes. So be open. Work on yourself. Look at the evidence in front of you of this person's actions and behaviors. They're a package. And go forward accordingly. Match what they're giving you. There you go. I think that's what this movie is talking about. Work on yourself and grow yourself, and you will be ready to be with the person that you are meant to be with. What did y'all think of this? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't sound too jaded. I just been through shit. Right? I've been through a lot of shit. And so, you know, slowly but surely, the healing will heal. Yes, God. Amen. Hope you enjoyed this. Please watch my other videos, subscribe, share, like, all the things that the other YouTubers with the 100,000 viewers, say. And watch more of my videos if you enjoy this. Later days.